Would you like to be a guest on our podcast, Linking to the Afterlife? I will link you to a loved one in the world of spirit or one of your past lives. This is a free reading, and we are scheduling right now. Send us an email, linkingpodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you all the information. Thank you. Hi, this is Donna, psychic medium and direct messenger for spirit. If this is your first episode, welcome. I invite you to listen to previous episodes where I link my guest with their loved one in the world of spirit. What started as one thing is morphing into so much more, not just for my guest, but for all of us. Thank you for listening. Hey there, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. All right, we're going to do a past life reading with my guest today. Will you state your first name for me and the phrase, "It's a beautiful day"?
My name is Nolan, and it is a beautiful day.
First thing I saw as we were doing the opening, you're an axe thrower. You're throwing an axe, we'll say, at a target. And there's this deep sense in you of, I gotta hit the target. I have to win. I have to hit the bullseye. I have to. That might present itself in this life as, when I do things, I have to go all the way. No good, bad, right, or wrong. When I do something, I want to make sure I hit the point, hit the mark, hit the target. Nolan, would that make a little bit of sense to you?
Yes, yeah, that certainly makes sense. I am very goal-oriented, and I tend to pick lofty goals for myself. This is right on the nose so far.
When I see an axe throwing, I was just at a fair last night and I saw somebody throwing an axe. And I've done it before in a bar type setting where you can go axe throwing. It's not an easy thing to do. Not at all. But you're not just throwing the small axe, you're throwing one of those long handled with a big axe head. Do you understand?
Yes. Right now I'm in Yellowstone National Park, which is where I've spent the past 2 summers. This is my 5th season in total. And I really try to embrace my time here and live it to the fullest. Last year, for instance, I set the goal to hike 1,000 miles within the summer, which is something that had not been done by a staff member here before. And I did achieve it, but it was a very large axe, that's for sure.
A very large axe. I love the way you're making that connection already. In this scene, this image of this past life as someone who did this, although I see you wanting that in your head, gotta hit the target, I haven't seen you release the axe yet to try. I'm sensing that in this life, it would make sense that you really haven't pulled the trigger maybe to what you're meant to do really in this lifetime. Would that make sense?
Oh, that is very interesting. I suppose I don't know. I wish I knew what I meant to do in this lifetime, but maybe it's still coming up.
So do you kind of feel that? You feel, again, there's no good, bad, right, or wrong to this. This is just to help you move forward a little bit or understand where you are in this moment and where it comes from, which would be this past life. And again, it's imagery for me. It's a beautiful image of this very strong gentleman that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at him from behind. So that tells me something also, that you're very concerned with who's watching and who is waiting for you to, we'll say, bite the bullet or hit that target. In this life, that would cause you to maybe lean too much on what other people think. Would that make a little sense, Nolan?
Yes, I suppose that would make sense. And it's actually very nice what you both of these things you just said, kind of being hyper aware of who might be watching me and maybe not having stepped forward to do what I'm truly meant to do in this life yet. I've done a couple readings with you before, and these are the sorts of things I felt like I was able to take with me later and really reflect on. So at this moment, they're not clicking right now. Like, yes, absolutely, that's me. But I feel like with some reflection, there is some growing to do as a result of thinking of these things.
You've explained it perfectly. That is the idea of these types of readings or any type of reading, to turn the light on. And you've recognized, yes, I do these things. And yes, maybe, but that's what it does. It turns the light on for you to contemplate, integrate. Those are good words. Anything that might be happening now in your life or moving forward. Let's see what this gentleman, so his outfit would be more like, I'm feeling Paul Bunyan days. I don't know like what time of year Paul Bunyan, what time of lifetime Paul Bunyan was. I know he was a fictional character. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe he was. He was a giant.
He was a giant, yes. That's what I'm seeing. Remember, I first said it's this, very larger than life, very strong gentleman here. But I'm feeling the outfit is Paul Bunyan, right? The rolled up flannel shirt sleeve, I'm going to say this, Nolan, the back end is tight, the shoulders tight, and he's got these tight pants on and this tight shirt on. I'm like, dude, that's kind of tight. No wonder you can't like throw that axe yet, because you know how when something's really tight on your body, you can't move your arms?
Yes.
This is what I'm sensing. You see, everything in my head means something. I'm breaking down everything I'm seeing. So, this tightness you feel could be just restrictions that you put on yourself in this life, whether it's something from your mind, your head, whether it's old tapes being played over and over again that say, no, maybe I'm not meant to hit the target. Maybe I'm not meant to throw this axe. Maybe I'm not really this strong. Would that make a little sense?
Well, Donna, I'll tell you, this summer I have been accused of being a little too buttoned up. So this is definitely resonating right now, and that is something that I've actively been working on this summer. If I can just give you an example, I had a lot of kind of restrictions I think I'd been placing on myself. And so I've been trying to let those things go, maybe past judgments I've had before. The greatest example is I never drank alcohol. I went the first 32 years of my life without ever drinking. And it occurred to me one day that I had a lot of judgment surrounding that. I was judging other people for doing it. My ego was using it as a way to kind of declare myself better than other people. And I realized this is no good. This is toxic. I thought I was avoiding alcohol for these pure reasons, but now it's become this ugly thing.
Mm.
So this summer was the first time I ever got drunk before. And it was because I realized how buttoned up and tight I was, and it was no longer serving me in that particular avenue. So I started to incorporate alcohol moderately into my life. I'm not partying every weekend or anything, but it was an experience I feel like I needed to have. And I think there are still parts of me that do need to loosen up, and I'm still trying to pinpoint those areas where I carry too much judgment or my clothes are a little too tight, so I can loosen up and throw that axe.
That's fabulous. It's exactly what I'm seeing. It's really an past life interpretation, what things that you carry over, right? I explained this at the beginning. This is how this works. You carry over things. So for you, a lot of them are new. Some of them may be new, but some of them are things that you've held onto and that you're recognizing. You're open to receive that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It feels like something I've held on to for more than this lifetime. So,
There you go. But we have to look at the aspect of the strength also, because you are strong. And in this image of you in this past life, there's not a lot of people in front of you or to the right or the left side. That tells me a few things. One, you're a leader. Two, many people look up to you as well as probably judge you for being a strong leader. And three, you feel alone in this quest for, metaphorically, hitting the target, being on target. How's that sound?
That definitely resonates. And again, this quest theme, it is something I definitely want to reflect more on going forward. I do feel like I have this big lofty goal, but it's not something I'm able to put into words. So it'll be really interesting to reflect on. But definitely the leadership role here in Yellowstone, I have taken on a leadership role. I'm typically the one who organizes the events for all of my coworkers. We go after work, we'll do a variety of things. In fact, tonight we're all going down to Lake Yellowstone. It's freezing. It's supposed to be snowing tonight, but we're all doing a polar plunge into the lake. And we do a variety of these wild things. And I am always the ringleader of that in this particular environment.
That's very interesting. When you were speaking, I was getting goosebumps. Not because it's cold here or you talked about snow, but in a different way. Typically, I get goosebumps if spirit's here and they're holding me or giving you a message in that regard. But I felt that the words that you kept saying, your soul was coming closer and closer to your physical body. Your soul was expanding more and more as you were speaking those words, taking in this imagery. And that I find quite illuminating. Do you understand what I said?
Yes, I believe I do. I've had some very intense spiritual experiences, and I do feel myself kind of expanding when I do discuss anything in that realm.
Mm, I love this. I love this. All right, let's go back to this gentleman. I'm going to call him a gentleman just because I can't get him to turn around. Typically, in a past life, we can press the play button and move forward and see how this gentleman plays out the rest of his life. But for some reason, I'm stuck in this one scene. However, there is a lot to see in this one scene. Do you agree?
Yes.
One scene, I'm looking at the back end of this guy throwing an axe, and there's so much to interpret. So much to interpret. What I find interesting also is if you think about the Paul Bunyan outfit, he wore the gray pants and the flannel shirt, right?
Yes.
So that would tell me, if we look at upper half and lower half of the body, is your lower half, your grounding half, is maybe more stable, more neutral, doesn't want to rock the boat any, that lower half, again, that grounded half. Like, I got to stay in this position. But then your upper half, which would be the heart opening, the heart chakra, and all of those spiritual things that cause you to, talk about spirit or ascend into that realm, is more, yes, let's do it. Maybe I'm only one color, but I have patches of it here and there, and I've got other stuff running through this. When it's my goal as a medium here to bring those two together without the big heavy belt in the middle cutting you off. Wow, that was good, Nolan. How did that sound?
That sounded great. Uh, that certainly resonates with me. Within the physical world, I tend to be very tame in what I do. I set a lot of rules for myself. I tend to follow the path. But when it comes to spiritual stuff, it really is just let it all go. Let this heart open and see what kind of wild adventures I have. But I guess that belt's getting in the way of the two, huh?
Can you see it with me? Can you see that Paul Bunyan with the belt just making his waist even thinner?
Oh yeah, no, I can see this whole image very clearly that you are presenting to me right now.
Yeah, you're right. It's time to loosen up that belt, and not just for yourself, but for your future, for those two up and down, right? Higher and lower, those sides to come together as one. That's what this new paradigm is about, bringing those two sides of us to come together as one.
Mm. That is something I've been working on very specifically this summer. Is there have clearly been two sides of me, and it was clear that one of them was undernourished. I do have this very empathetic, spiritual side, but then at the same time, I do have more of a grounded leadership role. And I really have been trying to merge the two into a way to work very well together. And I'm getting better. I have felt myself making progress on this goal, but I have not yet perfected it yet.
Yeah, that's great. There's no perfection.
Yes.
But you understand that.
We have all learned that lesson many times.
But it doesn't mean we're not perfect.
Mm.
So what I'm hearing from your voice and seeing from this gentleman is that lower half, there's judgment there because his 2 feet are firmly planted and only his arms are swinging. So there's that piece of him, we'll say the grounded, the earthly plane, who thinks, yeah, everything was meant to happen. I was meant to be, but now you want to change that. I don't want to change that. I want you to use it to gain access to the oneness.
Interesting.
You can't throw away the way you've been, but you can use the way you've been. Use this gentleman from this life to help you assimilate both sides together. We don't throw away one or the other. We come together as oneness. So I'm going to say again, with this gentleman with his feet firmly planted, that's a great thing to be firmly planted in the earth. It's also a great thing to recognize you don't have to stay that way, that you can use the earthly realm and the spiritual realm together to move through life. You don't have to throw one away to benefit the other. How does that sound?
That sounds right on. And that is definitely what I have been working towards. Still looking to find my way. That's part of my current assignment. That is very clear to me. But I think feet motion is necessary in axe throwing. I don't know much about axe throwing, but I believe the feet do move, if I'm correct.
If you're just throwing an axe, your feet stay firmly planted, whether there's one in front of the other or like standing with them hips wider apart, standing apart. So you can throw either of two ways. You wouldn't move. You're just using your arms. In this image, your feet are side to side.
Okay.
Wider than your hips. They're not one in front of the other. So I like that better, if there is a better or worse, because it's showing me that your right and your left side, your masculine and your feminine side, are balanced. Are balanced. It's your upper and your lower half, which I've never really said out loud before, but I'm feeling that, you know how a cross, you got 4 sides, right? Right, left, up, down.
Yes.
If you put an anchor at the bottom of that cross, so it's part of the cross, there's an anchor. There's more balance, there's more side to side, but it's also drifting you. So if you can imagine yourself as the flow and not being a part of the flow, you are the flow. And sometimes that anchor keeps us weighted down, but other times we pull it up and we keep going. Make sense?
Yes, I believe so.
You'll think about it later, is what I'm
Yes, I
hearing.
will. I will think about that. I do really like this idea of, the balance of the masculine and the feminine, but then there's a different, more grounded and spiritual balance that I'm still working on here. I think or I at least, when I think of balance, I tend to think of it as just two sides and meeting in the middle, but that's not true. There can be an up and down side as well. So this is very interesting. I appreciate that insight.
I don't think I even recognize that. I mean, certainly I've used this metaphor about the cross and the anchor in my own heart because this has been a part of my journey for so long. But now I'm hearing more from spirit. This is helping me also. And I like what you said, the top and the bottom and the left and the right, they all have to come together as one, but we're not taking the weight off of one and putting it in the other. We're bringing both sides, top, bottom, left, right, all sides, and what they know and what they've done up until this moment, we're bringing them all together. So a little less judgment of that lower half, not being useful. It was useful. But in this moment, you can only be who you are right now. And who you are right now is this. And bring this gentleman, like, I feel we've gotten enough. I don't want to press that play button. They're not giving it to me to press so I can see what's up with this guy. But I feel there's a little more for you to work out. You don't need anything more. And then maybe come back again sometime and we'll do the continuing journey of this gentleman. When you integrated work, everything out of this image. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it certainly does. And I think it all makes sense. You've given me a lot to think about here. And fortunately, I have the rest of the day off. I have a hike planned, so I will have a lot of time to reflect on this. But I'm actually very grateful that the spirit is not allowing you to hit the play button, because I do want to be surprised. I don't want this given away. So I appreciate the lessons of what I have to do, but I appreciate the anticipation that it has brought as well.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm honoring that because you know how to do the work. You know what comes next. This was let me just turn on this light switch.
Mm.
And it's lit up for you. You are the light, but it lit up your path. It just gives you more things to work on. That's what life is, if that's what we choose.
Yes, there's always room to grow. We never seem to run out of opportunities for that.
Good to honor yourself. And that's what I want to end with here, to honor this piece of you from this past life who has come into this life now with you as a reminder of who you were, who you are, and who you will be.
That is beautiful. Thank you very much, Donna. I appreciate this. This has been extraordinarily helpful.
I'd like to thank my guest today for allowing all of us to join in on their process, their journey. And I'd like to thank you for not only listening, but coming together in a oneness vibration. Thanks again.